There was nothing plain about John Allen Smith of Meadville, Mississippi. Everybody that knew and loved John was touched by him in ways that will never leave them. John was multi talented. He could pretty much do what he put his mind to. If he excelled in anything other than his personal relationships, it would be his music, his love of nature and photography, and his love of sharing all of those things and himself with other people. As I'm sitting here talking about him at 4:20 in the morning, I can almost sense him sitting behind me with his guitar singing a song about what we're doing. He could watch any situation and just pick out a song and talk about, sing about, tell about what was going on. I remember in the log cabin that my wife and I, Prudence and I, built on the Homechitto River where we first lived. We had a little loft up in the loft, and I remember at maybe several parties, but one in particular, John Allen sitting up in the loft and playing his guitar, and people were dancing and visiting and talking, and he would carry on a running commentary in the form of a song to music that he put together on the spot, telling the story of different people. John was at Delta State University and living on the property of Dahomey Plantation, a very large plantation in Benoit, Mississippi. He met a man that would really influence his life a lot, Joe D'Antone. Turned out that Joe D'Antone was also the brother, and later a friend of mine, the brother of a close friend from law school, Frank D'Antone. And John told me on more than a couple of occasions what a big impact Joe D'Antone had on his guitar playing. John came from a musical father and maybe other family members, but I specifically remember sitting on the porch there in Meadville when they were living just below Miss Marguerite King's house, sitting on that porch, and John's dad had a guitar and was playing music. So he came by some of that naturally. John's love for people and outdoors really drove his life in a lot of ways. He just was blessed to be a blessing to me and to all of us through his gifts, his love of wildflowers and everything nature and everything photography, his calendars that he made and published and sold. And he loved musicians, and probably his favorite, or certainly one of his favorite, if not his most favorite, was Sam Chatman. And John was integral in helping Sam get to various events and just being his friend. And he loved that Delta blues sound. And if I didn't know that Sam Chatman was around before John, I would say that Sam probably learned it from John, because even though John's version of the Delta blues sounded a little different in tone, his approach to telling the story of life through music and song was definitely of a blues-like nature. John and I and Philip King happened to be blessed to be, John probably wouldn't say it that way, to be roommates at Copiah Lincoln Community College, junior college it was then. let's see, that would have been in the fall of 1971. And there were three beds in the room, and there was two of them were bunk beds, I believe. I'm pretty sure. And Philip slept on the top, and John on the bottom, and then I was end to end with John, and John and I were just the opposite in a lot of ways. And one of those was that I could go to sleep in a heartbeat, and it was really a chore for him. John was so busy thinking and anticipating that sleep didn't come easy for him. And on more than a couple of occasions, I would fall asleep with no cover or anything, and John's blanket, I would feel it with my feet, and I would reach down and think that was mine and pull it up over me, and oh my goodness, it was like a cannonball hit the room. John would go berserk because he had worked so hard at getting asleep, and about the time he finally got to sleep, I woke him up. I know that everyone that knows John has favorite stories about him, and I invite you to, in the comments to this, to share some of your stories, because I know everybody will want to do some of that. I first remember seeing John, what most people think of as the library in Meadville today was actually the location of the house where John and his family lived when I first met him, or first recall meeting him and his family, and just being around Meadville, being he and Ronnie Mulkey and Peter Wayne Hardy and John's other family members, and just, Philip King and all of our crew that was close to the same age, and things we did, and riding our bicycles and different things around town. But back to that first meeting, I remember that John approached things from a different viewpoint than the rest of us. He saw things through a different lens, and the lens that he saw life through was it was challenging in some ways to him, but it brought out the uniqueness that is John. Tragically, it maybe to some extent foretold that his life would be short and his end would be tragic. I remember at his memorial or funeral service having a chance, the honor to offer a prayer, and you couldn't help but feel a little bit, I don't know if angry is the right word, hurt, sad, and a little touch of anger that John's departure came so early, and with all the gifts he had and all the blessings he had for all of us, we resented and regretted and deeply felt his early departure. I think that John's legacy, in terms of his teaching, his music, his storytelling, his impact upon all of our lives will be felt as long as we're alive to carry that forward. There's a part of each of us that is enhanced by who John was. And because we knew him, our lives are better. Because we knew him, we have a little bit of the spirit and the sense of John's love for life and his really, I'm trying to think how to describe how he would get excited about things that were of great interest to him, and how he would tell about it, and it would be a story about life. The story of John's life is a big one, and one that we cherish and love and miss him and his impact on our lives. We thank God for John and all of his family. We remember him. We remember him well. We remember him dearly.